Today is my journal page. This is my journal. It's called Blank Book because I haven't filled in any of my memories at the moment. If you're new here and you haven't subscribed, please do so. Every other week I do a journal page, and I'm going to start doing a scrapbooking page. That will be alternate weeks. On the opposite week, I do a small family history kind of class, not really a class, but where I teach you how I've learned, what I've learned through the years of doing genealogy, and what you could take away from, and if you wanted to start yours. And if not, I also am going into people in the family and the stories in the family and enjoying. And then on, like episode 5 was last week for the tutorial, this week I'm doing the journaling page that goes along with that, because I worked with Grandma and Granddaddy Johnson in Family Tree Maker just to show you how to get in there, how to find information, how, it is quite expensive, but if you're really into it, you can watch the first 4 episodes and see how to do it without having to buy any programs. So I am going to stop yapping my mouth, which I'm good at, and I'm going to get into, I'll walk you through what we've done so far. This is let me get to the first page. This is our family tree. We are researching the Johnsons, Hankins, Kincaids, and Tonys. That's who we're doing. This is going to be my index. I need to get this filled in so I can start working on it. I have made me, and I've lost it. I'll bet it's in the book. It is. I made me a cheat sheet on the lines to put behind. You'll see them through there so that I can keep them in a fairly straight line when I'm doing them. But anyway, this is the first page, and this will be the index. This brings you down to just, it's our family. I am now a Kincaid. I was born a Johnson, but I'm a Kincaid. So I'm doing all 4 of these sides. If I can. The Johnson and Hankins are my 2 sides that I'm going through. The Kincaid and Tony are my husband's sides that I'm going through. You do not have to do that. You can center in on one line and follow that line back as far as you want to. But I just wanted to. This is a little introduction to me and Timmy, who my dad and mom were. Then we went on to when we were married and our 4 kids. That was the first week. The second week, we brought you back. I do have Danny's picture. I haven't got it printed out yet, but Timmy sent it to me. I do have it. That was what happened that triggered me into want to bring the family to life, to generations that come. If you think about it, that's what the Bible does for us, is it gives us the genealogy from Adam down to Moses, and from Moses down to Jesus. So it really, the whole thing just keeps going. So it was important that in that day and age, at that time frame, for people to know who their people were for behind them. So I feel that it's important, just as important now, to know what kind of a family you come through. People put too much emphasis on finding a dark spot in their family that they don't want to know about, so they don't do any research. But you can find some wonderful stories as well. So I just put washi tape on the outside of them. This is me and Tim. This is the girls. And then this is my mom and dad. Robert Johnson, Francis Hankins. This is his mom and dad, John and Clara Kincaid. And then these are, again, the things that I'm going to be researching. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start working on the pages for Grandma and Granddaddy Johnson. I have some ideas, so this is where it's going to be tried and worked on and figured out and all that kind of good stuff. So what I'm going to do first is what I always do, is I'm going to go through and put the washi tape in. Now these sticky notes, as you see, aren't worth a hill of beans. So this will be the last page. So we're going to start with it first. And I'm going to go back through and put in this washi tape on the first and last page. Okay. peel this down because this is a sticker with a back on it, which is wonderful for working with these kind of things. And we'll put this in. You leave just a tiny bit to the top and the bottom so that you can line up the next one that you put in line. Then we're going to bring this page over, and because we want this washi tape to stick out beyond that one, we're going to now go in with, let's see, let's go in with this pink. And put it down to where it just hangs inside down a little bit. So that when you pull it off, you'll be able to cut it off, you'll be able to see the other one behind it. Okay. Now we're not going to do the other side till we cut it off, but we will be doing it. Now see, you can see the pink on the outside of this one. So I'm going to bring the orange in here. There we go. Now, I think that's it. I think that's the only ones we need this time. Okay, let's see. Yep, now we're going back to that one. Okay, so what we're going to do now is turn our book around. We'll stand up for this, guys, so I can get a good cut on it. Go cut this off right even with your washi tape. And then cut your washi tape off. Preferably not your paper, but I'm known to do that too. Okay, so then you can see your pink behind it. Set your trash out of the way. Then pick up the next sheet and do the same thing. Now this is just my personal journal. When you do yours, you set it up how you want. You follow whatever rules that you see on the internet that you like. This is just how I like to do it. And so see now, let me get all these off. I don't need them on there, they're not staying anyway. You can see that it goes like that. So now, we're going to go cut the top and bottom off of this one. Okay. So now what you do is you go back to the front of here, bring back in your washi tape that matches the other side. Guys, I have a ton of washi tape out at the she shed. I just did not think to go get it before I started filming. So you may see a few repeats. It's not the end of the world. I'm not sponsored by anybody but my wonderful husband. So I don't have to showcase any particular anythings. Unless you send me something that you want showcased in my stuff, I'll keep on using what I got. Alright, so there's that one. Okay, so now we'll come back into this one. And we're going to use the pink on this side. Try to remember not to stick it to the page underneath it. And because this page has the orange on that side, I'm going to put the orange on this side. Like I said, do it how you want to, how it makes sense to you. I just like the Dutch doors. And washi tape usually peels up pretty good without tearing your paper. Sometimes it will though. So take your time. All right, so now our pages are now set for working on. I have my little cheat sheet over here. Get that piece of sticker tape paper off of me. That will let me put my stickers in place. That one needs to cut off a little bit. It's sticky at the top. And so does that one. You can see I jump around all over the place. I wish I had all this stuff to do this with 20 years ago, or most of it. I wish I would have worked on it then, but I was working at the time and was taking care of kids and husband and all that good stuff. So now the good Lord has given me these years and the inspiration to do them all. So now that's what I'm working on. Let me cut this little piece off or it'll drive me crazy. Alright, so there's all my washi tape in place. Now, my stories are going to go in this order. I'm going to put a story about their little house. These are stickers I made on my Cricut this morning. So this will be their house. And Granddaddy was, in his earlier years, a coal miner. And then, if you watch my Try It Tuesday, you will remember these. I can get my fingers on them. These I cut out using my, let's see if I can showcase. Look how cute that little hammer is. Granddaddy became a person that had a little shop, so he had tools he had to work with. So now we have a little hammer. Let me peel off the back of this if I can. Okay. So he used a hammer in his job. Isn't it cute? That is just as cute as it can be. And let's see. Let me dump these off to the side here. Because some of them I cut out with wax paper on the back, which you have to glue down. And then I thought, well, if I can do that, I can do it with sticker paper. So then I just added some that had the sticker paper on it. So we'll put all the stickers in place. Now this is a little screwdriver. So I have to peel the pieces out of it. If you would like some of the stickers and stuff that I've worked with, just let me know and I can make you a copy of it. Or put it up on my Ko-Fi store so you can get them. There's the screwdriver. Looks like, for me it looks like a egg flipper. But it is a screwdriver. He was not, I don't think they had utility knives when he was doing his handyman work, but I'm sure he had a set of pliers. These would be excellent little stickers, little programs, whatever, to make for a Father's Day card. And there we go. There is the sticker. So that is the story I'm going to write on this page. On the second page, continuing with Granddaddy's thing, see, these are the stickers I'm working with. He would hunt. He had hunting dogs. And the hunting dogs would tree a raccoon. So Granddaddy would get up sometimes in the middle of the night, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. You'd wake up, Granddad'd be up, Grandma'd be up fixing him something to eat, and Granddaddy'd be off or a cup of coffee or whatever, he'd be off chasing the dogs down that had treed a raccoon. So those are his hunting dogs. And the raccoon, the story will go in there. On the other page, what Granddaddy also done was he was a fisher person. Fisherman, to be correct. He loved to fish, and he would sit on the bank of the creek, walk up and down it all the time, and go fishing. And let's see. That's all that's going to go on that side. Then on this side, we have Grandma's flower garden. I have a story about Grandma's flower garden. She had a cactus in that garden that was called the Devil's Tongue. So, and they too had a vegetable garden, which she worked all the time. So, and on this page, we are going to talk about raising chickens and ducks, and how much fun I had with the chickens. We'd go feed them, water them, make sure that they were eggs, all the eggs were collected. And let's see. Let's put in the creek on this side below where we're going to put Grandma and Granddaddy's picture. There's a story about the creek and a flashlight. I'm sure if you've watched any of my other channels, you've heard that story, but that's one of the memories that I want to pass down to my grandchildren that I have of my grandmother. And on the side with the chicken, I'm going to put this thing. It says, grandparents, create memories. And that did not go down well. See if I can get it up without tearing my paper. There we go. Grandparents, create memories that the heart holds. And that's what this book is for me, is memories that my heart has kept alive all these years. My granddaddy died in 1968. I wasn't but 10 years old. That's 56 years ago. But these memories are still alive and well with me. Now this picture is going to go up here. I should have put that. Let me see if I can move this one. I doubt I can, but let me see. Slow and steady, slow and steady, slow and steady, slow and steady. If you want to pull a sticker off of a piece of paper, do it really easily, because you will tear your paper if you don't. I leave these in, guys, so you'll know what to do and what not to do. This is going to go in here, so I'm going to put the creek, picture of the creek, down a little farther. So there'll be plenty enough room for the memories. Then once I color it in, I'm going to use it as a backdrop for Grandma and Granddaddy. I think this is going to be so cute, guys. Alright, so the first thing that I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back through. I'm going to get my book. Hold on just a second. Because if you don't have something solid underneath that part of your book, you'll never be able to write on it. So now I'm going to take my piece of paper that I made. I might not be able to see through this. I can see somewhat. I didn't think about this until after we were done last week. I'm just going to make a few lines down through here. I probably won't take the time to write the whole story in, but I'll tell you the story that I'm going to put in there. And then after we're done, I'll write it in and show it to you next week. Or 2 weeks from now. It's going to be fun writing over this stuff in the back. Need to remember to make this stuff flat. Alright, so there my lines will be for that one. Let me go ahead and put them in for the other ones. I'll fast forward you through this. Okay. That makes it so much easier though, guys. I was using a highlighter and a ruler. But sometimes you just have to stop and think, how can I make this easier for me? So I do not stop doing it. Your memories for your grandchildren are going to be the most important things you'll ever do in your life. Something that excites me. It gets me all riled up and I start coughing. But I'm not going to stop. All right. I might type my story out next time and put it on sticker paper. That way I don't have to worry about none of it. Although I do like looking at my mom's handwriting. Now that she's gone. You can tell a person's handwriting just by watching it. I mean, by remembering it. And that brings back a flood of memories. So, I'll probably just keep handwriting it. This is the chickens. This day and age, people are going to have to go back to raising chickens. We have 8 chickens and a turkey outside. And I really like them. I didn't care much for the turkey when they first started getting older. But me and her have an understanding now. And she leaves me alone. And I feed her. And that's the only understanding you need with chickens. Just feed them. They give you eggs, you feed them. And that's all there is to it. I have enjoyed this morning getting this stuff ready for this, guys. I can't thank you all enough for watching and supporting me. I'd like to have a few more subscribers, but I'm going to be doing this anyway, so if nobody watches it but my grandkids later on, it'll still be done. We can see all these people getting all these millions of views, but look at what they're doing to get them. It is like drama central out there. Is there nobody left in the world that just wants good old-fashioned good stories? Do they not want to know that the world is not as bad as what they would like it for it to be? Not as bad as it is, because it's bad enough, but still not bad enough for them. Alright, so now I'll leave this together, set it up out of the way. Look, guys, all I got to do is fill it in now. Alright, now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take my markers and I am going to color around this to make this a let me see, let me color these first. That'll work. Let's see. And you just, this is what I used my embossing folder. And this is the raised edges. I'm just going to go around this flower to make it a background for my journal page. You could put them in a junk journal. You can put them in a scrapbook page. You could put them on a card. Like I said in my video, if you haven't watched it, it's a Try It Tuesday series for March. It's all about these die cuts and embossing folders. So, as you go through your yard selling this year, or for a Goodwill, or if somebody offers you one and you say, I don't know what that thing does, look at my videos. In April, we are getting ready to come out. This is on Kincaid Special Creations. That's where this is going to come out on. We are going to be discussing the Cricut and how I made the stickers and how I create signs and how you can do t-shirts and heat embossing stuff and all that good stuff. So, if you get a chance and you got time, and I know a lot of people don't have time, I understand that, but if you do have a few extra minutes and you're looking for something to do, put it on. If you've got something else to do, just put on one of my playlists and let it play. That helps me get my watch hours. I would like for you to watch and comment on all my stuff because I do a lot of different things and enjoy every one of them. And you guys become my family to talk to. So I really enjoy having you here visiting. Look how much fun I'm having, guys. That is too cute. I think that's all that kind. Let me do the center of this flower. The center of this flower. And I think, let me make those a purple. I think this is a light colored purple. Yeah, that's almost like that pink. Should blend in pretty good. Don't want to do the greens. We're going to do leaves. We're going to do all that in green. Now you can take your inks that you stamp with and just run over the top of this, but you can't get the individual colors. Alright, so everything else is green. I'll fast forward to the coloring, guys. Oops, I missed the spot on my flower. If I was good and had the time, I'd color the background a blue and let it have a blue sky to put a ground on this. But I don't like to keep anybody more than a half hour. Oh, that's so cute. Okay, I missed a part of this flower right here. And I'm going to turn this one into a, whoops. Got the wrong color for that one. Oh well. It'll just be a mixed flower garden. Alright, so now I'm going to take this. This is the foam tape. I don't really want that one. What you're going to use is called double-side tape. And we'll turn this over. I put the tape down on the back of this. And it's sticky on the top, so when I put it down, it will stick. This is super sticky tape. Okay, so now bring back in my journal and put this on the top here. There we go. Now, I'm going to put Grandma and Granddaddy's picture together with the same double-sided tape. You can use a glue stick. You can use the little double-sided tape that you buy at Dollar Tree store. Any of it will work. This is just a dedicated journal page to my Grandma and Granddaddy Johnson, who we practically lived with when we were kids. We stayed at Grandma and Granddaddy Johnson's when we stayed just about anywhere. At least me and my big sister did. And we had a wonderful time growing up. We played, well, Janice will tell you we didn't play in the creek, but I'll tell you I did. Maybe I didn't listen to them, or maybe by the time I come along, they got tired of telling the kids to stay out of the creek because it wasn't going to stay out of the creek. Who knows? But that is my Granddaddy and Grandma Johnson. Okay, so now for the garden one, I have, if I can get this apart, a butterfly. I want to try to put on there if I can. And it may have to wait till we're off stage. Doesn't have anything to do with the sticker, guys. It has everything to do with my fingers. Anyway, I'm going to put this on here too, a butterfly. Let's put this big one on there, because it's easier to get out. Let's put it up here with the, because we used to have butterflies fly all along the creek down there. That's what butterflies do. Alright, so there we go. We have all of our stickers in place, all of our things. So now I'm going to write the first story in, because my Grandma and Granddaddy Johnson they lived in a 3-room house when by the time I was around, that's where they lived. They lived in this house that had a large living. It used to be a sawmill before the sawmill shut down, and then Grandma and Granddaddy got the house and they turned the big room, the great big room of the sawmill, into a living room. It was a living room / bedroom. And then they had a living room, a small bedroom, and then they had a kitchen with a big wood coal cook stove. I would love to have one of those these days. I don't know where I would put it. I don't know how I would make it work, but I'd build a room onto my house just to put that coal cook stove in, because I miss them terribly. They were great sources of heat. You could cook, you could bake, you could heat water. I mean, you just did everything. Grandma Johnson had one in her house, and then Grandma Wilson lived in the house below her, and she had one. And both of them have, I don't know where they went, but they're gone. There's nothing we can do about that. When you're kids, you don't think about that kind of stuff. But as I got older, my mom had in her kitchen 2 of the cabinets that had the enamel bread making thing that would pull out. You made your bread, you cleaned it up, and then you push it back in. Both of those are gone. And I would love to have one of those too. Where I would put it, I got no idea. I really don't. But I would love to have it. They lived in a small, it really wasn't small, but in comparison to the houses that they have today, it wasn't the largest of houses either, but it was still homey. Everybody gathered. Theirs was the house that was everybody gathered at, and everybody laughed, joked, carried on, had a nice little porch on the front of it where Granddaddy would sit all the time, and he'd tell now, kitten, because that's what he called me. He said, now, kitten, don't you go and sweep that porch right now, because he'd be sitting in the swing listening to his baseball game, because he had asthma so bad that if you kicked up the dust, it would throw him into a coughing spell. And of all the things that I could have inherited from my Granddaddy Johnson, that's one of them. I have to be really careful because stuff will cause me to go into a coughing fit. That they raised six children in. And all the local kids and all the everything and all the grandkids. Like I said, me and my older sister, we lived at Grandma Johnson's as much as we lived at home, and would have lived down there more, except confounded people made us go to school. So we had to go to school. One time, I went to Grandma's house after school without permission, because I honestly thought that was what I was supposed to do. But then I found out that I wasn't supposed to do it, so Grandma had sent me down to Grandma Wilson's house because she was the only house in the neighborhood that had a phone. I had called my Grandma Hankins, so my Grandma Hankins had to go down and tell my mommy I was out at Grandma Johnson's house, and they had to come get me. Wasn't the best thing in the world, let's just say that much. They had 3 boys and 3 girls. He was a miner. Granddaddy was a miner in his early days. Worked for Mill Creek Mines. Then I don't know whether the mines closed down or Granddaddy just got older and couldn't work in the mines anymore. But after the mines, he went to work for, I guess we put the R in there, a man by the name of Shorty Mannion. And I'm not sure, I may be spelling his name wrong, as a helper in his shop. They were the best of friends. I'm going to put "were good friends" because I hear that all the time. Now, Shorty's daughter lived in the house. I don't know whether it was the oldest or the youngest, but she lived in the house my whole life. She passed away a couple years ago. But her sister lived in Georgia with her new husband. Mary Ann was the one that stayed here in Anstead. And her sister, trying to think what her name is now, but anyway, her and her husband's name was George. They lived in Georgia, and they would come in every year for a week at a clip, and they would stay and at the park, and we got to know each other pretty well. So I thought that was interesting that Granddaddy's good friend, as we were growing up, I got to meet both of his girls as I was getting older. Now on this one, many a night, many a night, I would be staying at Grandma Johnson's house in that 3-room house, and you would see Granddaddy. He'd be up being as quiet as he could, but he'd be up hunting stuff, his gun, his coat, his whatever, because he got woke up in the middle of the night because his dogs had treed a raccoon. And because that's what he trained the dogs to do, he had to get up and go and bring the dogs home. Not every time did he shoot the raccoon, I'm sure, but every time he had to go get the dogs, because that's what the dogs were trained for, was to hunt various things. So when they would wake him up in the middle of the night barking, and sometimes it would be in the woods, a half-mile, quarter-mile, whatever, down the creek, he'd still have to go get those dogs. So I'm not going to write that story in there, but I will. I'm going to put it in there, but I'm just not going to put it in there today. But that's the story about the raccoons and the dogs. Granddaddy had several nice dogs that were good hunting dogs. Now for the fishing story, Granddaddy they lived on the creek down here, where sometimes the state would come and stock the creek. Everybody at that day and age would come down and go fishing. They loved it when they stocked the creek. There was sometimes you'd go down there and you would see what they call rainbow trout. Prettiest fish ever. And there's still a lot of people today, after the creek is stocked. I don't know when it's done, but you'll know that it's been done because there'll be several people down there along the creek bank fishing. The town has now turned it into a really nice little walkway on the other side of the creek, on the Ansted side, to where you can get down there and walk up and down that creek bank pretty good. Now back in the day when Granddaddy and them was there, it still was pretty good. You could still get down through there. Different places to go fishing. But when me and Timmy lived down there, everything had grown up so much that it was more difficult to get to the creek bank to go fishing. But there were still people that would come down and park, and especially when the stock truck went through, they would come down and go fishing. And my brother loves to fish. He lives in Virginia, but he's been doing some heavy-duty fishing since he retired, and he's doing good. So that is one thing that I think he took from my Granddaddy Johnson, was his love of fishing, because Granddaddy loved to fish. Now on this side, I'm going to put the story in about my grandma. She had flowers. Now she didn't have a big manicured yard like they have these days. There was a little area of flowers between Grandma Wilson's and Grandma Johnson's house, and they had this big old tub full of what they call succulents today. We just called them cactus back in the day, but it was called the devil's tongue. And us kids learned really quick that it might have been called devil's tongue, but that plant had teeth. And if you stuck your finger anywhere near, you didn't have to touch it. But if you get close, it would throw stuff at you. And then you'd be sitting there hollering at Grandma to pick another thorn out. And she said, just leave them alone. But then she had another tub. And in that tub was the most prettiest flowers. And I fully intend to find something, if possible, this year, and plant me a tub, an actual wash tub, full of rose moss. Rose moss was the most beautiful flower. It was down between Grandma Wilson's and Grandma Johnson's house, and I always loved when those things come in bloom. And they filled out the entire tub full of flowers. She also had a vegetable garden, which if anybody could remember it back in the day, that was nothing from Grandma Johnson's house out down over the hill was nothing but a hillside. And Granddaddy Johnson worked at garden, and Grandma Johnson, they went out and worked at garden, and they'd put in potatoes and corn and cucumbers and tomatoes and I guess because at that time, if you didn't have a garden, a lot of the times you didn't have any food. So, and with 6 kids, pretty much you learned how to grow stuff in the garden. That too they did not pass down to me, although I dabble in it and intend to do a garden video starting probably the first Saturday in April, if everything goes well and it's not raining, and start putting stuff in the ground so that I can start my garden videos back up. But Grandma and them always had a nice garden. Like I said, it was on a hillside. They didn't have a tiller. They didn't have a tractor. Granddaddy and Grandma would get out there with, and whoever they was around to help would get out there with a shovel and do what they call turning the soil with nothing but a shovel. I tried a couple of times, if my memory is correct, and I was so little I could stand on the shovel like Granddaddy did and the dirt wouldn't even move. So I was too little to help as far as that. But getting stuff in, washing stuff up, whatever you could help with when you were kids, that's what they let you do. But mostly, when they were doing stuff, they just wanted you to stay outside and play, which we were more than happy to accommodate them. Okay, and on this last page, they had chickens. Now, not the poor little 8 chickens like I got, or to my knowledge, they never had a turkey. But they would have 50, 60 chickens in their chicken pen. And you'd have to go out there every morning. They had what they called cracked corn was what you fed them. Nowadays, you have little pellets of stuff or little crumbles of stuff that you give your chickens. But back in the day, they sold cracked corn for you to feed your chickens. And in return, just like my chickens, when you feed them well enough and the time is right of the year, you get eggs. I have 8 chickens. I got 7 eggs yesterday. So I am extremely proud of my chickens. So that, the chickens were just a wonderful addition to this place. It gives me something to get up, get outside, go feed them, see what they're doing. I have this year. Last year I didn't, but this year I've been letting them out of the morning because I was afraid I'd have to chase them down to put them up. No, you shake that food bowl, them old chickens come running right for that, and right inside their pen they'll go to eat their dinner. And then they'll go to bed. And so this, as I said before, this is my Grandma and Granddaddy Johnson. His name was Robert Morris, and her name was Dolly Mae. And I believe I spelled her name wrong in this picture, which I'll change later. But it still was May, whether it's spelled with a Y or an E, it's still May. And this is the story about the creek that I've told over and over, so I won't bore you with it too much today, except to tell you that my grandma lived on a creek bank, and when it flooded, she was scared to death. But us kids, when it wasn't flooding, we loved to be in the creek. We caught crawdads and everything. You could not swim without an adult down there. We knew that. You could not go but X places where if they come out and they caught you going somewhere where you weren't supposed to be, you weren't allowed to go back to the creek at all. But one time I had a cousin that come in. His name was Michael, and he come in and we found, going back to the fishing story, those little old brown caterpillars that comes out every spring. We found an entire 1-pound coffee can full of those things. Me and Michael thought we were doing the best. We hunted that whole place upside down and backwards. We thought we done found them a whole ton of fishing worms. Everybody could go fishing and have each of them have a worm. I took that up and showed that to Grandma Johnson, and she went crazy. She said, "You take them to the creek right now, and you drowned every one of them." And we did. When Grandma got that mad about something, yeah. But for the most part, she was a really quiet, soft-spoken person. She loved church. She was a very, very strong Christian person. And later on in this book, I will bring in the story about where we were, what was going on in the place where she lived, and the church that was nearby, and the community that come into play just from houses being there and people growing up together. I got a piece of paper on me. All right, guys, so I'm going to let you go. I hope you have enjoyed my stories for today. I'm going to finish filling this in after we get off camera, and I'll bring it back and show it to you all filled in next week. So if you like this kind of stuff, or you would like to do a journal of your own, But by all means, all you need, you don't even need this box of markers. You can get you a box of crayons if you want. This stuff can be colored just as easy with a box with crayons as it can be with anything else. Pencil crayons would work good. You could color in if you wanted to. Some type of pen. It does not have to be this erasable pen. It can be any pen you have. It can be a pencil. If you're afraid you're going to make mistakes, use a pencil. You know, just sit down with a book. You can get a 3-ring notebook and put you in some notebook paper and write that. You can get you a composition book from the store and just start writing. But you can draw your pictures in. You can get you some already made stickers at the store. You can do anything. The washi tape, you can skip the washi tape if you don't want to. You don't have to do the Dutch stores. Just write down your memories right now while they're still fresh in your mind, and while you, if nothing else, when you get to thinking, what was I thinking? You can pull your book up. Your kids can pull your book up. Your grandkids can pull your book up and look at it and see. Pictures are wonderful. Pictures are wonderful. But if you do not have them documented of who they are, because you know who they are. I have pictures today when I've been going through my stuff that I'm getting ready to scrapbook, that I see the pictures. The faces look familiar, but I have no idea what the names are, and because the names were not put on them at the time. So as I pull my pictures out and I know who they are, I just turn it over and put the name on it. That way you can know, or whoever is looking for Rob Johnson can know that that was Rob Johnson. I know because I remember the face. 50 years later, 56 years later, I can still see Granddaddy sitting on that swing down there at that upper house. I can see it. I can still see Grandma going out and putting herself out, because you did not, if you had a washing machine, it was not going to handle like quilts and blankets, because at that time those things were heavy. She would get a tub of water. We would carry the water from the creek. She'd put it over an open fire outside, and that's what us kids was good for. We'd grab one side of the quilt, she'd grab the other side, and to the best of our ability, we would twist. They might have been 3 kids on one side and her on the other, but we'd twist so we could get all the water out of that blanket that we could in the spring. She'd hang them up and let them dry, and then she'd have them ready to go back on the bed. But many a time we've carried water from the creek to the tub just to do blankets. So when you're using your automatic washing machine to wash your blankets, remember my poor old grandma and the tub. But she didn't mind, and we thought it was the best thing in the world to get to go down there and help her. You know, she's got a fire outside and everything's going on, and she's, you know, for her it was a chore to do. For us it was, okay, yeah, let's go. So that's the memories that I have. Now, everybody does not share my memories about life on the creek, so I can understand that, but those are the memories that I hope that I can bring forward to the people that watch this show, and all the good things that's been going on. And as we go further, these type of memories will be what I fill this book with. So if you want to hear me tell some stories, keep on coming back. And we will talk to you later. Y'all have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.